Hey everyone, we've got big news at the barn, or I guess in this case I should say little news. So recently I've made the decision to add a new addition to the barn. I've been training up a couple ponies for a few of my clients, and I just came to the realization that I really miss that feeling of riding ponies. The only pony I've owned is of course the one and only Flamey, but since she retired a few years ago, I haven't got my pony fixings in for a while, and I really just want to get back into jumping with one. There are plenty of chill, laid-back pony jumping shows around Jorvik that we could have fun at. Plus, I think jumper ponies are the most precious thing, and I find that they're just so much fun to compete with, as they have those cute little strides, and they tend to have some fiery personalities. Which, shocker, is actually how Flamey got her name. With that being said, let's get to it and visit some ponies. Now, it's kind of funny that we're starting a pony shopping video off with trying out a breed that, although is pony-sized, isn't technically a pony. Meet Peppermint. He is this pony-sized Icelandic horse at 14 hands, which to many, any horse under 14 hands is considered a pony, so in my eyes, he's definitely that. At a whopping 5,500 Jorvik shillings, he was sky high over my budget of 3,000, nearly double, but for good reason, so I could not miss the chance to try this guy. Now, you don't tend to see a lot of Icelandic jumpers in the circuit on Jorvik, or really anywhere for that matter, but when you come across a bay calico Tobiano Icelandic horse with jumping experience, you do not pass that opportunity up. And boy, am I glad I did not, because this was one of the coolest horses I've ever had the honor to sit on, and I have ridden quite a few in my time. He had some really cool breeding in him and the most adorable fluffy mane I have ever seen. Icelandic horses are a 5-gated breed, meaning they have yet another gait called the tolt, which I believe is somewhat of a variation of the trot, and it definitely was a bit wild to sit, and I'm sure it looked even wilder from the ground. Like I mentioned before, he's also somewhat of a jumper, but I use that term lightly as the highest he's ever gone is under a foot, so can't really say he's got scope. I will say though, he was a lot of fun to jump, but ultimately, I don't think he's really what I'm looking for, not to mention he was over budget, but I cannot say I regret trying him whatsoever. The next pony I visited was all the way up in Jarlaheim, and usually when I'm in that area, it's to go up to the highly esteemed Jorvik stables. However, that was not the case today, and we were actually going up to a little farm on Paddock Island that is just off of the Jorvik stables. I was super excited to try this little dapple gray 13 one-hand mare named Susie, although she was a bit smaller than what I was originally hoping for, as I was looking more around the 14-hand range, and I know this is a pony shopping video. However, I do worry that I'm a little too tall for her, especially if there's a lot of jumping in our foreseeable future, which can be pretty strenuous. Besides that though, this girl was under 3,000 shillings, which made my budget happy, and she had also jumped all the way up to 2.9, which for a pony, I thought made her pretty incredible. She is 9 years old, and it sounds like she's in her prime. Overall, she seemed like a promising prospect, so I figured I would give her a try. When I got there, to my disappointment, she was already tacked up. When I try out horses, this is always one of my red flags. The owner mentioned she was on a tight schedule and that if I'd like to try her again, she would let me tack her up myself, which made me feel a bit better. When I think of a pony, I think of Susie. She had the typical pony sass. This mare was an absolute speed demon. Her gaits were walk, trot, and run. I had the opportunity to take her through a course, and I must say, although it felt like holding on for dear life, she was impressive. The course jumps certainly weren't small, and she was flying over them more than clearing each and every one. It was such a confidence boost, although when we took a break from the jump work and moved on to her skills on the flat, I had to be the confident one, as she was very pushy with me. For such a tiny thing, she had such a strong head, which is not my favorite quality in a horse, but definitely could be worked on. I was not surprised that she still wouldn't give a nice collected canter, as she had proven that by galloping through the course with no signs of slowing down, even when I tried to ask her. Her trot was also super zippy and rushy. She couldn't really find a good steady rhythm either in her gaits. It was a little bit of a herky-jerky ride. Definitely don't see her as one that I could just chill out and ride around after a stressful day, but of course I could work with her and try to quiet her mind a bit. That might mean putting jumping on the back burner though. Overall, going into the trial ride, I thought she was kind of going to be just a chubby pony that was gonna mosey around, but I was quite clearly wrong. My next stop is one of my favorite places in Jorvik, and that is the South Hoof Peninsula, aka the place I bought my very first project pony, Autumn. Meet pony number 3, Belle, who was a 13-3 hand mare. She was a stunning Palomino Welsh with chrome, which is certainly a bonus for me. At 16, she was a little older than what I was looking for, but age isn't necessarily a bad thing, as a lot of the time that just means more experience. And with her, that definitely applied, as she's had lots of amazing training in her past. Her ad wrote that she was a hunter type, but in the right hands, they could definitely see her excelling in the jumper ring. And personally, I'm not totally opposed to doing some hunter work with the right horse, as I've done it in the past and really enjoyed it. She was over budget, though she looked promising, and I'm willing to spend more if the horse is right. This mare was one I would trust my lesson students on, which is a plus because I'm always looking to diversify the horses in my program to allow the kids more experience. She had a nice, calm demeanor, but also a good amount of energy that she knew how to utilize as she carried herself over jumps. Her owner said that Belle had jumped over 2 feet, which was just the heights I'm looking to do with this next horse. One thing that caught me a bit off guard is that over one particularly taller jump, she did get bucky after that. I was then told that besides a few rides this past week, she's been sitting in a pasture mainly for the last month, as that's when the girl that was riding her stopped the lease. Her vet check did come out pretty clean, and it's not like her tack was ill-fitting, so most likely she just had some pent-up energy to burn off, which is not at all a problem for me. And if anything were to happen, I'm a lot closer to the ground, so no biggie, right? Out of the group I've tried, she was my favorite in terms of flatwork skills. She seemed to have a really good foundation. Not only that, but she was super well behaved on the ground. And welcome home. Although our pony shopping endeavors don't stop just yet, I still had one more to try out of the comfort of my own barn. Chip has boarded at the Silverglade Equestrian Center for a few years now, and his owner has 2 other horses that he needs to focus on, so he's looking for someone to care lease Chip until he has a little bit less on his plate. Now, although I don't have an ad for him to show you all, as he isn't officially for sale, I do know a bit about him. He is a coming 8-year-old Appaloosa at 14 hands high, making him the tallest I've tried so far, and although he doesn't have a lot of show experience, he has lots of scope and a good amount of training under his belt. This actually won't mark my first ride on him. I've exercised him a handful of times for his owner in the past since he is one of my clients, and he has come a long way in the few years he's been here. He's got a really good brain on him, took him over a couple 18-inch jumps, and at times he did seem a bit wobbly, but I'm sure with some confidence he could do really well. He's got a really sweet disposition, and he kind of reminds me of Buggy with how just relaxed and goofy his personality is. He's one that I would definitely enjoy spending my time with. One thing I do have to consider though is, would I rather have my own pony or do a most likely temporary care lease situation? And of course, do I want to put my own time and resources into getting him trained so I could do show jumping competitions with him for who knows how long? As you all can see, I will have my mind full trying to make the best decision, but let me know in the comments which pony you think would be the best fit. I have had a very eventful week trying all of them out, and I have to say really tested my riding abilities because they were all incredibly different from one another, which was a great learning experience for me. Anyways, everyone, that's all the ponies I'll be trying out for a while probably, and I'll make another video soon sharing which one I'll be actually taking home with me. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Just take my hand and fly up through the dreams where the skies are so clear. With you, I wanna stay with you. With you.